We are live. This is the market update. What is going on in crypto? This started overnight. It's still down, and there is no explanation. We'll go through all the negative catalysts. We'll also go through, wow, this could turn in to a bottom. It looks like people may be giving up in altcoins. Honestly, I don't blame them. I don't think you should do it, but I don't blame them. So it's not a financial move. It's an emotional one. We'll talk more about it. Don't forget to tune in right after this. We're going to see what Miss Tobie has to say in the YouTube member podcast, where we'll say all the things you can't say on the stream for our YouTube members. So please come check us out immediately following what we're going to do here. All right, let's welcome who's on the stream. Okay, now I can see your names again. Excellent. Baby Whale in the house. Bull Runner, first on the stream. Your Bass Hurts. Felix, what's going on, man? Dude, I'm tired. I know. He says I'm tired. I think that's part of it. Indie Rock Crypto. Today's Tech Bites. A member for 6 months. Antivirus, Aero, and Galaxy. No, nothing's going to stop Galaxy, man. I see everybody jumping on that bandwagon for good reason, right? GF, Gavin Busby, Felix, what's going on? Losing patience with crypto. 4 years, no progress. Honesty is the best policy. Lee J, I'm tired, right? Something big is coming. If this Elon Orange Man thing is back, dude, I 100% agree we will go into it. Chase Wright is here. All right. Let's start with Elon and Trump. First of all, this is what got the last round started. It started with Elon and Trump over a budget bill that wasn't done yet. It wasn't done yet. That then segued into social disorder and in Los Angeles, because I've seen them putting up barricades and stuff in Washington. Strange. Maybe they do that for every 4th of July. Who knows? That was naturally immediately followed by a geopolitical situation. So I don't blame anybody who looks at Elon versus Trump and goes, oh my God, not again. Now, is that a reason to sell crypto? Well, if you had asked me 2 days ago, I would have said no. But I mean, the developments there are Orange Man's talking about deporting Elon. Orange Man selling his Tesla. Orange Man threatening to turn Doge on Elon, which could be serious because he does get a lot of sugar for battery-powered cars and spaceships. Elon funding Thomas Massie, ironically, a guy from Kentucky, right, who was like a leader in getting Ross Ulbright out of jail. Interesting, right? So a guy who wants like fiscal order is all of a sudden in trouble with the Orange Man and Elon's new best friend. Now, no matter who tries to primary Thomas Massie, right, for anybody overseas, that just means, make him lose the election before the actual election. You got to get elected twice in American politics, once by your party and once in the general election. Thomas Massie is going to be Mr. Popular forever, and that was before this Elon thing. Okay. Now, this segues into the big, beautiful bill, which is what Elon's upset about. Now, to be honest, I'm tired of whiny tech bros. The tech bros and a certain lobby, they got a lot from the Orange Man. They got unlimited H-1Bs, and they got whatever geopolitical event occurred because the Orange Man campaigned on no new conflicts, and we had a conflict. So tech bros and certain lobbying interests, they already got what they wanted. And in many ways, Elon is being a crybaby, because if the government continues on its irresponsible track, it isn't really about America. It's about Mars, right? So if we blow $2 trillion on whatever we're blowing $2 trillion on, we won't have the $5 trillion necessary to go to Mars. Okay. Now, that said, Elon is correct. If you add U.S. entitlement spending over time, the real national debt isn't going to be $37 trillion. It's going to be $175 trillion. This is over time, which is where you get Michael Saylor's 10 million target for Bitcoin, because they can't default on the debt, so they have to print their way out of it, right? And Powell sits around and pretends like they're credible inflation fighters until that doesn't work anymore. Now, headed into today, it seemed like no one was worried about all this. The narrative has completely flipped from April, when Ray Dalio was like, this is what happens when governments go broke. The narrative changed to, the orange man's going to double down on debt to try to get growth and money for the border, which is, I still think today, what this big sugar fest is really all about. But no one was upset about it until Elon brought it up. No one was upset about anything. Stonks were making an all-time high. Everybody was okay with this bill. Everybody was happy, at least in the stock world, and everybody was headed home. So then you're going to ask the undoubted question of what's going on. Well, first of all, Elon versus Trump, as somebody just said, could be the prelude to something else happening, right? Something else weird happened before. You question, you undermine, whatever you want to call it, the president of the United States. You show weakness and someone takes advantage of it. That was my objection to it the first time, right? You show weakness, trouble starts. 1. 2, people may be worried about the yen. The stock market isn't, but I noticed that when this Elon thing started, you had the dollar fall and the yen rise. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole lecture, but this type of stuff is what crashed the market back in 2024, when ETH went from 3,200 to 2,200 on a line. And the dollar has been weak. So when the dollar falls and the yen rises, in short, that hurts speculators. But I mean, again, it's happening in crypto and not stonks. Okay, then there is the other likely idea. First of all, on holidays, you get surprise moves. I said that, and then I got a surprise move, staring at my screen like you, going, I can't take any more of this. What is this? And then it occurred to me that this could be an emotional give-up trade. In other words, everybody watched stocks go up. Clearly, the move in crypto is not in altcoins right now. It's in the crypto equities, right? Everyone's IPOing. Circle Galaxy. Tom Lee joins an Ethereum Treasury company, and the stock went up 400%. So they're doing alt season in the stock market as of now, leading people in crypto to go, oh, I'm done. Especially since there was a failed rally. Like I'm just done. Which is amazing, because there's a huge amount of money flowing into crypto. A lot of that is into Bitcoin. 2.9 billion is in Ethereum. There's rumors that, crypto bros and Vitalik are dumping on Wall Street. There's a huge amount of money flowing into the crypto space, just not into altcoins, just not into your bags. Okay. So I think this emotional idea makes the most sense, followed by, a little bit of concern about the yen and a little bit of concern that this big, beautiful bill is going to wind up a problem, particularly since it doesn't include the crypto tax provision that we all wanted. Interesting. I'll go with emotional and people just packing it in, especially before a holiday. Like, it could be hedge funds too. It could be just like, I'm done. Now, I figured there were all these positive catalysts and everybody was going to come rushing into crypto because it's so oversold. So I feel as wrong as rain. Speaking of that, supposedly there are statistics out that show the job market got better. Well, if that's the case, so much for Fed rate cuts, right? He's not going to cut rates under pressure until he absolutely has to, which might be September. Meanwhile, people, I don't know, in the lower spectrum, they continue to suffer. And of course, there's my guy. There's my guy, Zoran. New York City to DNC, drop dead. DEAD, we're not doing this. This guy wins the primary with 50% of the vote with a far, 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 far left agenda. Other guys say nobody leaves New York City. Wealthy people are going to stay no matter what. Okay, well, that's good. But I still think at the end of the day, that guy is going to make us all rich because there's going to be a rationale that people, after they get done doing Circle, Coinbase, and Galaxy, they're going to need to get on chain. It's just not today's trade. Also, don't forget your privacy tidbit of today is supposedly all of the software that the Iranian government used for driver's license, identity, and who comes in and out of the country. They thought they bought it from India, but they actually bought it from Mossad. So Mossad knew everything that they were doing. They knew where everybody was. And it's just a reminder that their money is their money and your money is their money, right? Antivirus forever, even with altcoins getting absolutely, absolutely hammered. Thoughts on not buying anything, okay? Ron is going to stick with Tobie's wobble vision, and so am I, right? Tobie said wobble summer. Last time she said wobble, you had the kind of move you had in April where they relentlessly sold everything. All right. Now, my idea was that we have what I would call a Saturn effect. So we got all this Gann research. Not going to go into all the details, but Saturn is not friendly for altcoins. Saturn goes through a change that could be more friendly for altcoins in mid-July. Now, my idea was that, some of these changes, some of this Gann work, you start to get a little tilt positive before. Market was doing great over the weekend. I'm like, okay, here we go, right? We're lifting the cap off alt season. Now it looks like the Gann work, Saturn, the proverbial destroyer, is kicking us on the way out the door. So the Gann work that was supposed to be, I was hoping was positive, now might be leading to a selling climax because people are exhausted. People are done. I totally get it. And it may not be just people. It may be institutions. It may be hedge funds because all the money is going into stocks and Bitcoin. It may just be that simple, right? You have a couple negative catalysts on the tape. You have people a little worried about risk assets with the events going on. And then all of a sudden, boom. Now, in the event you're really wondering what's going on, here we go. What do I always say, right? Yesterday was the XRP tattoo. And what is it today? Well, Binance has got himself a Bitcoin logo on the Sphere in Las Vegas. Sponsored by Binance. And every single time this stuff hits the tape, the market goes down. Superstitious? Yes. True, true, true? Yes. Richard Barry is here. Sir, welcome. Greatest thinks another geopolitical outbreak. You know, that is very possible. I don't have any evidence of that. But again, crypto running scared. I don't blame anybody who would start looking for those kind of rationales, particularly over like July 4th. I knew there was going to be a big move over the holiday. I didn't think it was this. But of course, that's the whole nature of it. You know, I had this analogy of hedge funds running off the beach, right, to get back to the office. And now here I am running to get to the computer in the middle of the night going, I got to figure out what's going on here. I thought I had it figured out at 7 a.m. I still don't know. I still don't know if I have it right, but I suspect it's emotional capitulation. I'm not supposed to use that word, but I just used it. So, I mean, even Willie Woo is telling us, you know, you got less than $1 billion a day going into gold, and you got more than $1 billion a day flowing into Bitcoin. And ETF approval odds are at 95%, right? You know, Marathon Digital has got 50,000 Bitcoin in their treasury. You know, the mining stocks are looking good. But we don't have our tax provision, right? We don't have our tax provision. Now, if you switch over to TA, right? Okay. So if you look at a 4-hour chart of SUI, I don't know. Frankly, you get a pretty discouraging picture, right? LuxAlgo, let me just label this. We're going to basically do most of this today via live TA. Okay. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, layer one, stable coins, let's go. They sold all this stuff. And LuxAlgo comes in and goes, yeah, let's give it a 4 sell signal. That's a high conviction sell signal. I'm like, what? But I mean, I can't ignore what's going on the chart. And I think the same thing happened. I mean, the good news is Solana is on support. Thank God, right? So is Bitcoin. We'll go over that. But I mean, Solana got rejected at the 200-day moving average. I mean, the last time Solana got rejected at the 200-day moving average, you know, you had the geopolitical event. So it's like, okay, well, so much from my theory, at least for just right this second. You know, XRP is still holding on equilibrium. So it's not like I see some giant disaster and Bitcoin dominance just won't go down. This is Bitcoin dominance, right? And I'm telling you, even though the Bitcoin dominance is not, you know, I mean, it's at its premium zone, so I can't believe it can go higher. But it did hit support, and I don't blame people if they're worried in altcoins, because still, even after I just said all that, nobody really knows why altcoins are down. Now, if you're looking for a ray of light, it actually is in Solana. It's in Solana, right? This is a 13 bottom, okay? The market starts to go up. And when you start to count the other way, right? Like it's 1, 2, 3 for the uptrend, you would expect a dip on number 4. So the market goes up for 3 days after a bottom, and then you get a nasty dip. Okay. That's okay. You know, whatever this is about, tax loss selling, forced selling, everybody bailing out for the holidays, emotions. Today was supposed to be a dip day. It's okay, right? Bitcoin is coming down to support. You know, as much as this moves, right? So you had this vertical move. They were afraid of 110, and then it came right back to 105, and there's a 9 bottom. So when it comes to Solana and Bitcoin, there's no reason for this to continue. And if it does continue, something is really wrong. That's what I'll say. All right. Now, if something really is wrong, because I got very interested in Cardano because I saw a pivot to American-made cryptos, because they got to pivot to something. Now, I continue to believe that they do have to pivot because, you know, because somebody commented on this yesterday, and they're right. So I want to clarify this. You know, they say they have win after win after win. We don't know if the Middle East is a win yet. There's all these conflicting reports. No one actually knows. We don't know if it's a win. The big, beautiful bill might be a win if markets don't freak out and Elon doesn't get too aggressive. Doesn't feel like a win. It doesn't. It might be one, but it doesn't feel like it. And especially if you consider for crypto that if they want to add 3 trillion, you know, if they just want to print and print and print, you would think crypto would be screaming higher on this. Anyway, so Cardano has a 13 bottom, but it's not confirmed. And I would really hate to see Cardano go all the way down to 45 cents, because that's like the next support level if it all falls apart. Just saying, right? So Solana and Bitcoin are going our way. The rest of this stuff kind of isn't. You know, this would be an opportunity for ETH to do a reversal. That opportunity is kind of ticking down, right? Like it has to turn around today. And if it doesn't, so Solana and Bitcoin literally have to save crypto. You know, meanwhile, again, this is just unbelievable. Look at this thing. This is a 4-hour chart of QQQ. Like, can you even believe this? That these guys took this up, led by 22 stocks. 22 stocks led QQQ to a new all-time high along with equities. You know, and all these theories that I would have about what's going on and why is crypto down, I don't know, man. It could be as simple as people threw in the towel. Now, flipping it around, there's a LuxAlgo sell signal here. There's a LuxAlgo sell signal here, and stonks are at the premium zone. I still can't believe, as whiny as it sounds, I still can't believe that anybody wants to buy stonks and dump crypto. Not just dump crypto, but dump crypto hard. Oh, we got Solana below 150. Are you crazy? Right? Somebody said the Chinese hate the 4th of July. They're going to tank it like every other year. Algorithm says Cardano is a recipe for no gains. Okay, well, that's true. But I was figuring, just looking at it, I was like, all right, maybe if Cardano's 13 bottom works, maybe the Made in America crypto thing can get started again. But all we're making in America these days, I hate to say it, is stupidity. Somebody says to Ethereum or not to Ethereum. Well, I know if you go to the YouTube member podcast coming up after this, where, you know, I'm going to go over like all the GAN information. We'll do some dumpster diving and try to find some stuff that's down that we like. I suspect that's going to be all in real world assets. All right. So we know about the negative. Let's perhaps talk about the positive. The stablecoin game allows the Treasury to create money. This is why Bassett, when you see him in an interview, he's like, I've got the greatest job in the whole world, right? Like anytime there's a problem with the Treasury bond market, I can just print using stablecoins, right? Stablecoins get treasuries. They use that as backing and they issue dollars from there. That's not exactly all of it, but it's close, right? Stablecoins allow for more debt, more printing, and more sugar. That money eventually has to come into DeFi and Bitcoin. What are we doing today? Well, we're doing this. My bags are down and I'm done. Probably at the institutional level. right? With a nice chunky liquidation. You know, you got Binance on the dome. You had an AI Brad Garlinghouse tattoo. Oh, you know, it's crypto's inbred kill switch. It's a kill switch, right? Coinbase sponsoring the U.S. Army parade. Boom. All right, back to the positive. Either equities has to go down, right? Or, you know who could save altcoins? Mr. Bitcoin. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little tired of waiting for the big supply shock. Sometimes I wonder if they use options to hold down Bitcoin. But if the big, beautiful bill, like once Trump's pen actually signs that, I'm actually wondering if that's a monster upside catalyst for Bitcoin. In other words, everyone is selling it, fearing Trump Elon means something later, the yen or whatever. But as with all these made up catalysts, Tobie calls it World War Z, right? How many times have we had World War Z? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, we've had it 6 times in the last 2 years. Doesn't happen. So once everybody gets done trying to figure out what's going on here, all you need is one big day in Bitcoin for everybody to realize, why did I sell crypto again? All right, let's talk about your emotions, because I think this is a crypto therapy kind of moment. It really is. It's a crypto therapy kind of moment. If you got to make adjustments to your positions, make the adjustments. You want to do what you can to stay in the game, because I know the YouTube member podcast is coming up, but I know what Tobie's going to say about crypto. I already know. You know, she's got this super, super cool book, right, called Digital Dominion, where she really drives home the necessity of crypto in an artificial super intelligence world. I call it hackers versus hedge funds, right? It's one of the great reasons to subscribe to the YouTube member area, because we really talk about what you need in crypto going forward, not just today. And that matters. It does. You know why? Because you matter. All right. Somebody was asking about Aero. Okay. So this is the game that Aero is playing at the 200-day moving average. You know, they're playing such a game here. Like when they play games with the technical indicator, watch this. Done. I'm tired of looking at it. Right. It worked in Solana, but I think I'm going back to LuxAlgo. You know, they're probably going to sell this into support. That's what they're going to do. Okay, Galaxy Digital. Again, everyone's looking for the next parabolic up move in stonks, crypto stonks. This could be a candidate. This could be a candidate because, again, all you need is one huge day in Bitcoin. All these equities are now tied to Bitcoin. So if you get one big day in Bitcoin, you get a big day in the crypto stocks, and then the cryptos where there were supposed to be ETFs like Solana and XRP can start moving. Because again, I don't know how you're going to have $4 trillion in stable coins and have that run where? Got to be on a layer ones. All the layer ones they're selling today. Okay. Big Rich will ask about TAO. Right. And this is another strange phenomenon, right? So, you know, partly I did say, okay, hopefully we get a breakout above resistance on July 4th. I wanted something like this, right? I wanted up, support, go. That's what I wanted. Instead, I got resistance from the geopolitical event still acting as resistance. Right? In other words, they felt the need to sell it again. Now, support in TAO, in case it gets nuts, is at 282. right? That's where the support is. And I got to believe that if you're still involved, that's not an add point. But I get that people are sick of it. I get it. Okay, SYRUP. All right, so this used to be Maple. They changed the symbol. This is, the hot DeFi play lately. And of course, like everything that outperforms, when the market goes down, the outperformance gets unwound. You got, you had some intense FOMO here. And then there are two LuxAlgo buy signals here and here. Like if somebody wanted to buy the dip in this, I can't say I'd blame them. I can't say I'd blame them. Then I look over at AIntivirus, which is hanging tough. I always say this New York City mayor, he's going to make us rich. He's going to make us rich. You can buy gift cards without Uncle Sugar seeing it. You can, basically move money so that the prying eyes of Skynet are not on it. You can get a private email address. I mean, you're going to need these things, right? I mean, this guy from New York who's going to make us all rich in crypto, he's going to have artificial general intelligence or something close on his side eventually. Like if he gets elected in November, a year from then, what kind of tools is he going to have? So I'm good with this at 3 million market cap. Carry me out. Carry me out. And this goes for crypto in general. It's like, hey, look, John McAfee wrote the Declaration of Cryptocurrency Independence. He said, you need it. You need a pep talk. It's a John McAfee pep talk. You need data sovereignty. They're taking your data, and that's okay, or people think it's okay until they use it against you. Cryptocurrency helps make people free. Yes, you want your bags to go up. You also want to be free, and I still think anybody who participates in the ecosystem, well, for that speech, you'll have to listen to Tobie, which is coming up after this soon. When you have AIntivirus, Bitcoin, Monero, or any of these decentralized AI plays, I mean, I didn't read the article to you, but the Eagle King sent me this decentralized AI article that this stuff's going to happen. And like in all cases, and I thought we were done with this with the geopolitical situation, but as bad as you feel now, you don't have to read the technical analysis textbook about how bad it feels at a bottom. Because I mean, can you feel any worse? And if there's anything going on, okay, if there's anything going on of note in the technical analysis front, believe it or not, it's how bad you feel right now. Here's the article from Cointelegraph. I'm actually dropping it in the live chat because it's that good. We got 3 plays. No matter what I put in to the Gann model, it comes back with certain coins. And if you go to Lunar Crush, I spend at least 2 days a week on Lunar Crush looking at DeFi AI, and just AI in the top 1,000 market cap. And I even have the model do dumpster diving in AI. Like one dumpster diving thing it keeps coming back with is centrifuge. And I look at the chart and I'm like, right? The other chart that, I'll throw out there, we'll see what it looks like, is Clearpool. Because I know Tobie picked a bunch of real world asset plays a week ago. By the way, that is what we do on the YouTube member stream, by the way. You know, we pick stuff live. So we do live and AMA. And look at Clearpool. Clearpool is a competitor to SYRUP. And this is very typical across all of crypto. I mean, it's at its discount zone and it's destroyed to the point where you wouldn't even look at it, except for the fact that everyone has packed it in. Everyone, right? In other words, you know, do you want to sell a market down 8%? And if you do, you would effectively be quitting. Now, I understand human nature is like, I can't take it anymore. If there's one or two more of these down days on some catalyst, I don't know. I don't want to tell you something that leads you to more mental anguish if your bags need to be adjusted. But I can't believe that we're all going to just sell because we're in the midst of a strange give up trade. Like last night, you know, in the middle of the night, I'm like, I'm in the twilight zone. Like, you know, what's going on here? Well, I guess we'll find out. And when we do, it'll reverse. That's my final word. Like, we don't really know what's going on here. And when we do, it'll reverse. And my guess is it's going to be led by all the big boys, particularly Bitcoin, when somebody realizes, hey, this thing with them printing money for this bill, yeah, the stock market loves it. But yo, the market that should be going up on the big, beautiful bill is Bitcoin and crypto. Like, all of this squabbling and all of this fighting also leads Congress to have to do a pivot back to crypto. Because, you know, Elon and Thomas Massey are going to be naming names as to who voted for this thing, right? But in the meantime, the bond market and the stock market don't care. Crypto cares. Don't be the guy that 3 years from now says, I puked it out on July 4th for reasons unknown. Charlie the Positive Cat here. New York City Bull Riders says Blaze on base is on fire. It's so funny. You know, Eagle King flagged that 2 days ago, right? You have this meme coin that's absolutely flying. I can't even imagine what it is that they're doing here. It's a base dog coin. And Tobie's right about this. This is what the market does when it gets bored. This is 30-minute chart of Blaze. You know, the Eagle King showed it to me, and I'm like, oh, well, this has got to be cool. You know, I thought it was going to be Moon Pig, and it's a dog with a fire tail. I think this is part of our inbred kill switch. I mean, I hope this goes to the moon. I hope it goes to 1 billion. Because, you know, one thing I will end with, the base network, like with Coinbase being like the Goldman Sachs of crypto now officially, everything on base has got to go right to Coinbase. It's got to, right? They wouldn't list the virtuals ecosystem. Maybe they wound up smart on that because of AI Agent Winter. I just have a hard time, even though the price action is terrible, and even though everyone is scared because of the price action, for giving up on the positive catalysts. Okay, YouTube member podcast, picks, AMA, Crypto Showdown, Tobie, Digital Dominion, all coming up in 45 minutes. We will see you then.